Pamela Geller, who many of you know, editor and publisher of AtlasShrugs.com. She has also founded and is the executive director of Stop Islamization of America, SIOA, and of the Freedom Defense Initiative, FDI. And she's also a regular columnist for Andrew Breitbart's Big Government, Big Journalism, The American Thinker, and other publications. I think you all know, if you don't, that Pamela is a very brave individual who's made the decision to stand up to what she sees to be the encroachment of militant Islam in our country and around the world, and the danger that it poses to our society and our children. She should be a hero to all of us. Whether you agree or disagree with Pamela Geller on any one thing or another, or anyone else, it doesn't matter. We have a society that permits us to say things and to be critical of elements. Dissent is the foundation of our freedom of speech rights in this country. After September 11th, Pamela immersed herself to get a full understanding of geopolitics and Islam. You know, I've had a chance to talk with Pamela casually at several events around the country when we've been together, and I couldn't help but realize that this is but for what's happened in this country on 9/11. An ordinary person with daughters trying to raise a family in this world, and like many other people, woke up on 9/12/2001, decided she was going to learn everything she could and make a difference about it. This book, what she does every day, the battles that she has, the courage that she's shown to get out in front of the public and say things that many people are afraid to say, as she's been condemned for. She's put herself on the line on national television. She's been judged before she hasn't even had a chance to open her mouth. Very few people like Pamela Geller. She's a hero of our time, and we should all be emulating her if we can, even in our daily lives in little ways, to stand up for truth. I think something emblematic of her, she wrote on her blog just a few days ago, after she'd appeared with Geraldo Rivera, who really was setting her up to be an extremist on an issue that she's been extremely reasonable about. And she goes on to say, it was that kind of night. Geraldo didn't seem to care how nonsensical, rude, and ignorant he had to be to do it. He was just determined to portray me and those who agree with me as extreme. It was yet another example of how out of touch the American people and the mainstream media has become. And here's the part that I think is really interesting, and I think that you should all hear this, because I think this is what we're all up against. Well, Geraldo, we are not all extremists. We are not going away either. Defending America is not extreme. Truth has become extreme. Truth is the new hate speech. The lies that Geraldo and others like you tell about us and the boxes you push us into become more obvious to people every day. This is such important wisdom, and this is a tough cookie, a very high intellect and moral values, someone I am extremely pleased that could be here with us today. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I want to thank Craig Snyder, Mike Finch, and the David Howard Center for even hosting this and supporting my work, Robert's work, at a time when the voices against Islamization and jihad are increasingly marginalized, smeared, and defamed. So thank you for your bravery and the work that you do. I think it's fitting that we are here at the Union Club, established in 1862 as a patriotic society in support of President Lincoln's efforts to preserve the Union. And here we are, hundreds of years later, his dream fully realized, the election of a black president. And I wonder what President Lincoln would say. First of all, the book is the definitive work on President Obama. You may think you know President Obama. You don't know President Obama. He's singularly presiding over the decline of America. Not only presiding over it, but aiding and abetting it. I know that these are harsh words, but the reality is what it is. I mean, you can avoid reality, but you cannot avoid the consequences of avoiding reality. And he's an internationalist, and he would like to see us as one of many, nations under the guise of internationalism. His appointments, his advisors, all subscribe to internationalism, whether it's Harold Koh, legal advisor for the State Department, Elena Kagan, Sonia Sotomayor, Samantha Powers. The list is on and on. I'm not going to go into finite detail, but in broad sweeping strokes, we see he has abandoned our allies, and he's aiding and abetting our enemies. To what end? I cannot tell you. And for me, the most critical issue, of course, is freedom of speech, because freedom of speech is the line in the sand. Without freedom of speech, peaceful men have no choice but to get violent. There's no alternative. And we see time and again here, he co-sponsored a resolution at the UN to restrict free speech, not to defame Islam. That's the first time in history a US president has ever signed on to a restriction of free speech. And we see an increasing Islamization in America. One only has to look at, for example, the Ground Zero Mosque. Now we have to talk about the Ground Zero Mosque for myriad reasons, because so many reverberations from this one terrible, and it is attack. It's an attack. It's a jihadi attack on America. It's a stealth attack. You have a president who stands up at a very glamorous iftar dinner to sanction the Ground Zero Mosque under a false narrative, a false pretense of religious freedom. Now, it has nothing to do with religious freedom, just so that you know. Nothing. At no time did Robert Spencer or myself ever, or those that are fighting it, ever seek to abridge the First Amendment, ever invoke religious freedom. It is common decency. It is human compassion. I mean, the Japanese never asked to build a Shinto shrine at Pearl Harbor, nor would they ever. And when many Jewish people reacted fiercely towards the Carmelite convent outside of Auschwitz, the Pope withdrew. Not because he had to withdraw, not because there was a German, because it was the common, decent thing to do. So just on that level. So you have the President of the United States, then you can say, oh, he's a purist. He's an ideologue. Well, he is, but if he was a purist, why did he come out against the free speech of the Quran burning? Now, let me say this. I don't think Quran burning is a good idea. I think the antidote to bad speech is more discussion, is give and take, and the truth will out. But it's protected speech. And who died and made the Quran the Holy Grail? Don't burn the Quran. What is that? But you burn a flag, you burn a Bible, you can burn anything, but don't burn the Quran. Excuse me? Sorry. And everybody buys into it. Oh, nothing. Look, the interesting thing to me about that story was a fringe pastor tweets something very stupid. Yes? And the media is on it like white on rice. They are all descending upon some backwater in Florida, camping out at the fringe pastor's church. Interesting, right? Why? I'll tell you why. Because the Ground Zero Mosque became a national story and an international story with no mainstream media. It became the #1 story. And everyone said, "Ta, she did it. She ginned them up." And I'm going to tell you something. It's very flattering. Thank you very much. But it's impossible. I've been doing what I've been doing for years, since 2005, studying first and then started writing in 2005 every day. At least 10 times a day I update Atlas Shrugs. So why this story? Why didn't I do this a year ago? Why didn't I do this 2 years ago? Let me tell you, there are a million stories I would have put on the front page. I would have put Amina and Sarah Saeed on the front page. I would have put Molly Norris on the front page. I would have put Shanksville on the front page, the Flight 93 Memorial. What I'm saying is that They're looking to demonize me, and therefore everyone that's associated with me is demonized. Do you agree with that? You're a racist, Islamophobic, anti-Muslim bigot. Now, some interesting things come out of this story. First of all, it's a good thing. It's a good thing for myriad reasons. A, because the American people are seeing for the first time the stealth jihad up in their face. How are they seeing it? Because they have in their daily life made accommodations to Islam in the daily social fabric of their lives. They have. You see they mosque the workplace. You see cashiers at Walmart and Target won't handle meat, it has to be halal, you know. A woman gets fired from Rising Star Industries because she was eating a bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich in the company cafeteria. Not a Muslim company. The U.S. Treasury Department was giving seminars in Sharia finance a week after they nationalized the banks. Yada, 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 yada. Do not insult Islam. Do not defame Islam. Do not run the Danish cartoons. The producers from South Park have a death threat on their head because they dare put Muhammad in a Huggy Bear costume. They actually bleeped out the word Muhammad. All right? And the people know this, and they say, well, we don't want to offend anybody, you know. So here you have a 15-story triumphal mosque on a building that was destroyed in the attacks of 9/11. Not 600 feet, not 600 feet, not 2.5 blocks away. That building is ground zero. Why there? That's the essential question. Why there? Oh, it's healing. You're healing and outreach and healing. Okay, so let's take this dishonest imam at his word. Indulge me. If it were true, it was about healing and outreach, look what it's caused. Such discord, such divisiveness, such unhappiness, such grief. The 9/11 families pleading with them not to build this triumphal mosque. And I have to say that I find Imam Raouf and Daisy Khan's callous dismissiveness of the pain and the grief they're causing radically intolerant. And the American people see this. So at first, every single time they had me on, every single time, I would speak first, and then they'd have some Islamic supremacists come on to destroy me, and on to the next one. Then I said, look, I said to CNN, I said, listen, you're gonna have me on, I don't go first, and the next guy comes on and says, Pat McGiller's a racist Islamophobic bigot. So we would debate, and I would get into the ring, never with the same guy, never. You know how you watch sports tapes? You know, the sports teams or fighters, they watch the tapes of the guy they're going to compete with or the team so you can get a sense of their game, you know? I debated Palestinian hip-hoppers. I debated Muslim Brotherhood. I debated CARE. I debated Columbia School of Journalism professor. And then when I wrote, look at this. Look how they never had the same person on to debate me. What are they so afraid of? They know my game. My game is the truth. That's why they can't win. So they had a guy debate me a second time, Ibrahim Raimi, of the Muslim American Society. Muslim American Society was established in 1993 as the public face of the Muslim Brotherhood. This is all documented. This is another thing. She's making this stuff up. And I say it was entered into evidence in the largest terror funding trial in U.S. history, the Holy Land trial. The media will not do its work. The media will not do its work. It's like the New York Times is doing a profile piece on me. Don't ask. And they keep saying, well, how much money, you got $20 from here, and someone gave you $25 from there, and how much money, they want to know every single cent that I'm getting. Trust me, there's no money in what I'm doing. But look at this. Did they look at Raouf like this? Did they look at he's a slumlord? Did they look at the fact that he got $2 million to do repairs on his slums, his unlivable slums, toilet water, vermin, roaches, broken doors? Got $2 million, never used the money. Where's the New York Times on that? He's a prominent member of the Perdana organization, the single largest financier of the Turkish terrorist group IAH. They launched the Jihad Flotilla to provoke the tiny Jewish state into defending itself so that it would be a public relations disaster, and it was. I ran on my site audio, exclusive audio of him speaking. And I'm sure you heard when he said that the U.S. has more Muslim blood on its hands than Al-Qaeda has the blood of innocent non-Muslims. Code word, innocent non-Muslim, code. Code because if you read the Quran and believe, there's no such thing as an innocent Muslim. If you were an innocent non-Muslim, if you were an innocent non-Muslim, you'd be a Muslim. So he's as radical as Osama. He said that we're an accessory to 9/11, that he was made in the USA, Osama bin Laden, and all of this it's sanctioned. And what we've witnessed here is A, we can make things happen without the media. Forget the media. This is important. How did the Ground Zero Mosque become a big story? I had been writing about it in December. It came back on the radar screen in April, May, because the dimmies on the Bloomberg's toolbox, that's what I call them, voted unanimously, don't you love that? Unanimously, no dissent, to approve the plan, even though they really didn't need approval. They wanted the sanctioning of the political system, which they have. And Robert and I did a rally. And I expected a couple hundred people. There was upwards of 8,000 people there, all vis-a-vis Jihad Watch and Atlas. And then somebody took pictures from a blog of Looking at the Left, which is he's a photojournalist. He took amazing pictures that day. And without a link, without a story, and they sent it around to their list. And it said, mystery rally. And it started to go. I started to see it in my email box 6-7 times a day. That's how that became a story, just so that you know. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because every action that you take, there's a reaction. Everything that you do contributes to the greater good, to the fight. I hear all the time, well, I'm one person. No. If history has taught us anything, it's that the individual can change the course of human events. And we're living in an age where you have, as a president, a statist, a collectivist. And this is the most deeply troubling thing of all, because the basic founding principle of America was individual rights, the individual. Everything great and noble and just and magnificent that we achieved was a result of fidelity to that principle. And this is why he must be stopped. He must be stopped. You must get out the vote in November. You must. I mean, it's not just when I say he's pro-Islam, look, you don't take NASA, kill the space program, kill the shuttle, and redirect their efforts to extol the work of the Muslim world. Run that by me again? I mean, but it's one thing after another. The speech in Cairo was, depending upon who writes the history books, is a defining moment in U.S. history. And to equate the violation of women's rights in America to the violation of women's rights in the Muslim world takes an incredible amount of contempt for human life and contempt for the American people. So I'm going to turn the mic over to Robert Spencer. I know I should have spent more time on the book, but the mosque issue is a critical issue. Because despite getting in the ring, and it's always getting in the ring, it's like, I hear it, ding, 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 they're off, We're talking about things that people never hear. Building triumphal mosques on the cherished sites of conquered lands, site Dome of the Rock, site St. Sophia, even the Taj Mahal, The fact that, what is driving, they took these extremists, a couple of extremists. I gotta tell you, these are 6 very busy guys, okay? Over 20,000 attacks since 9/11, all with every single one of those attacks with the imprimatur of a Muslim cleric. What's being done? What's being done to expunge the Quran of its violent texts? These are things that you never hear on television, ever, that I would say. And what I love when they come on the next night to debate me. Do you hear what she said? Yeah, she said that it's original Islam. Well, how ridiculous is that, right? But they wouldn't have me on. They'll have 6 guys on to rip apart what I said. But I'm telling you that something critical, we reached critical mass. The latest poll showed an overwhelming number of the American people do not trust the media. Now, let me tell you why that's huge. It's huge because if you don't have that, what do you got? That's all you got. That's why I'm so, the blog, and that's another thing, very quickly, they never mention the blog. Is Pamela Geller from Stop the Islamization of America? Never the blog, never the book, and we send them the art, and we send them, I have Simon Schuster sends them all the private. I've been doing, Stop Islamization of America is 3 months old. Atlas from 2005. Atlas is my heart, my soul, it's like my living room. Sit down, let's talk about what's happening. And so I do say things that are controversial, but it's what I would say to you. It's what I would say to you. I'd say, yeah, he's the Mansourian candidate. My articles, the book, that's the work. But you see me work, it's my workshop. And, they will go through 20,000 posts to find something that I didn't say. It takes an awful lot of imagination. So get out the vote. You have to get out the vote in November. You have to send around. You have to be the media. You're the media. I've seen it happen. I do more foreign press on Ground Zero Mosque than I do national. This has distilled the entire war to its essential oils. No conflating this with the nonsense, oh yeah, this is peace. This is so in your face that people, without even a cursory knowledge of Islam, say, this is wrong. This is wrong. And the more they show themselves, now it's not healing, now I'm standing between you and the extremists. Get out of the way. Thank you very much.
Wow. I don't know, Robert, that's a tough act to follow.